Hello guys, welcome biggity big to another video. So today's essay doesn't have a title. It just starts with one big ass bold sentence that goes, one content creator can be such a huge business, especially if they're a really creative person. Lately I realized this is the strategy that big media companies used before streaming and individual content creation became really popular. So for example, back in the day, a record label named, for example, Pitbull Records had a hip-hop artist named Hemi, just as a hypothetical. Hemi, in this hypothetical, makes his own music and maybe does some production, but the label provides him a team that will create album covers, create his distribution networks, splice content in different ways to promote him and his upcoming projects, manage the content across his platforms by changing thumbnails, re-uploading songs, videos, changing titles to be more engaging, creating other types of recurring revenue from all the other things that he does. So like, for example, if this content creator is also an entrepreneur, they need someone who will create their websites for their products and services, who will manage sales and revenue and the number stuff, who will do marketing and who will do customer service and product building, product design, stuff like that, just to name a few. Unless you really want to go the one-person business way of thing, which I will get to anyway. It's not that it's impossible to set all these things up by yourself, but you'd have to make a lot of sacrifices to pull off doing all of that by yourself. Hence, the record label provides the team and then gets a huge cut of your work. Hence, I will never get signed. So record labels also have years of connections and experience, and that's why they can make hundreds of millions and even billions from one artist. But the signed artist still gets very little of that because they're basically only a manufacturer. In fact, I heard rumors that there was a certain American rapper who dropped a dope album in 2014 and the project as a whole grossed well over $1 billion. But he's nowhere near being a billionaire. He's probably like just over 100 million to this day. It wasn't even then. So I mean, imagine your brainchild grossing so much, but for someone else. Seems like voluntary robbery to me. But, that's just me. I said the signed artist gets very little of that cut because they're basically only a manufacturer in the process. The label leverages this artist's persona as a personal brand, but the artist doesn't own the system that helps his music make that much money. So this is what Jay-Z meant in Diamonds from Sierra Leone, where he was like, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. Let me handle my business. Damn. So now with all the tools available to us today, you can build a website without knowing either coding or web development. You can build a website without knowing either coding or web development. You can start a media company without even being on camera. Anybody can do the same thing record labels used to do with their artists on their own. And since now you own the distribution network as well, you get a much larger cut, like profit margins in the 90s. You're at the top of the hierarchy because you've built the system. And if one content creator can rake in millions per year, and record labels have multiple content creators all holding a prominent spot within their genres, like you've got someone who's dominating in pop, someone who's dominating in hip-hop, someone who's dominating in jazz, then is it any wonder that record label owners are billionaires? How could they not be billionaires when they own money-making machines that make hundreds of millions? Yeah, I know I just referred to your idols and your favorite musicians as money-making machines, but I don't intend to dehumanize them. I'm just making a point. What's with these dogs, dog? Okay, 2 days later, I can continue recording this because I finally found some silence. But anyway, where was I? So yeah, if one content creator can rake in millions of dollars per year, and record labels have multiple content creators, all holding a prominent spot within their genres and their niches, then is it any wonder that record label owners are billionaires? They have people under them who are operating money machines that make hundreds of millions per year, multiple of those people. So of course they're gonna get a huge chunk of that pie because they own the system. But additionally, as opposed to a large content creator, like one large content creator, maybe Hamza, for example, Hamza in 2022 or was it 23, whenever he said he was gonna go do kickboxing full time, he had a full-on team that was even people outside of just creating content, people in management and assistants, and yeah, he was just creating a lot of jobs. So as opposed to Hamza, who was one content creator with multiple people dedicated to him, a label also saves costs because the one content creator hires freelancers who work per contract basis. They probably haven't hired people who are like their salary, right? But a label has salaried employees who work for multiple content creators at a fixed rate. So the label pays the people who work for these different teams the same rate each month, regardless of whether the artist makes 1 million or 10 million or 100 million in a month. That's why the label can make such outsized profit that they can then hopefully pay to their artists and make them decamillionaires as well. But yeah, so yeah, they have salaried employees who work for multiple artists, but serving in multiple distribution systems at a fixed rate. So that's the genius of the record label model, I guess, or the traditional business model as compared to the one person business model. Because saving costs and then dedicating all of your resources to multiple similar projects. So the reason artists choose to get signed is the same reason people choose to get a job. It's because you are guaranteed a return on your inputs. It's because you are guaranteed an income from your inputs, even if you have to sacrifice the autonomy of owning your work. Like J. Cole said something on his recent album about how he had to buy back his masters, but he's still grateful for the opportunity. So at the time when he took the record deal, it's because he realized that with his own resources, he wouldn't get far fast. And he wanted to move fast, because I remember even in that era, he kept referencing in his lyrics a lot about how time was passing, but he didn't feel like he was improving, how he would kept getting more and more skilled, but skills don't pay the bills. I forgot the exact bar. But so the common theme between an entrepreneur and an unsigned artist is that they both have a goal and at least one skill. But they realize that because they are competing with companies and other people like them who have built the systems necessary to grow, they also need to learn the other variety of skills and make the other necessary connections in order to bring skills they don't have to their business, and so that their business or their brand can grow. However, this is uncertain, and it will keep you broke, living by a razor's edge for months, maybe even years. But I think the payoff is worth it, and that's why I personally am both an artist and an entrepreneur. Dan Coe once said something about the modern meta of business is someone who solves a problem in their life, then teaches other people how to do the same. So you don't necessarily have to teach people how to make money online in order to make money online. You just have to help people make their lives easier in the similar ways that you have made your own life easier, or at least just less tedious. I don't mean to rhyme, but I'll do it all the time. So if you were a nail technician or a panel beater, then the best way to get customers is to either teach what you do or make what you do seem more interesting online. Ideally both, just how Homozi does. Alex Homozi's videos are so dope. Like, you can tell that his team in general of content creators are really going ham at it, and they're good at what they do because they are both engaging for like TikTok brain people, but he also has stuff that's kind of slow. That's for the people who don't want to have their dopamine levels punished by the constant animations and the moving pictures and the flashy images. He does the podcast as well. But in all the animations and stuff, he's still giving you valuable content. In fact, I think the animation and editing style is prioritized in such a way that it provides as much punch as possible per minute. Like, per minute, they're trying to drop as many gems as possible. So even if it ends up being a particularly long video, the whole thing is valuable. Like, every single second. You know what? Maybe I just sound like I'm dick riding Alex Hormozy, but I haven't seen a single whack video of his. Even back in his days, before he hired the video editors, like the dude was just dropping bombs. It may not have been as fast paced, but fine, whatever. Similarly, if you run an internet cafe or you're just freelancing through one, then the best way to get more customers is to teach what you do or make it seem more entertaining. And this is why you'll find me talking about my systems on this YouTube channel or on my YouTube or on my newsletters. And soon enough in my paid products. I understand that even though they are not perfect right now, they are functional enough. Then you just have to keep the product evolving, which allows you to keep charging more. Because especially if it's a service-based, if it's a service, because the more you have a large audience that's aware of what you do and they actually know you're good at it, then the more scarce your time is because they all want it, or a lot of more people want it day by day. And besides, you will naturally get better at the thing you are offering to the market just because you've done it so many times. So many people have asked for it, so many people have been happy with it, and you've now just reached such a level of refinement that it takes you a tenth of the time it took you the first time you did it. I remember the first time I built a creator framework, my own. It took almost 2 months, bro. The next few ones I did after that, just as examples, took about 2 hours each, and then an hour each. So you have to go through that initial period of overwhelm in order to get used to the thing you are now doing, the system you are now building. Shout out Danco for that mindset too. So as you keep getting better at the thing that you do, you will stand out from the people you were initially competing with. Fair, in the beginning, you might have begun offering a very similar thing to other people around you simply because you yourself had been new to the space, you had fresh knowledge, you hadn't done much iteration to what you had recently learned. But the more time passes, the more you reach your own epiphanies, your own aha moments. And that's when you start incorporating them into your product, your services, your content. And that's how you stand out more and more and more. Like Hamza in the beginning was just giving the same basic advice as everyone. Like, oh, hit the gym, meditate, journal. But then he started being serious. Like, I do all this because I want to fuck hot girls. People loved that. That's when he started taking off. Like, actually, I'm going to be honest about my intentions. Sure, I do want to retire my family. I love my family and all of that. But if I'll be honest, my biggest driving, like the thing that gets me out of bed is like, I want to fuck that girl. So, you might not agree with his philosophy. Clearly, there are many people who don't, considering he's gotten a lot of criticism on the internet. But the fact he still managed to raise an audience of almost 3 million and an online paid community of over 400 people shows that the guy at least knows what he's talking about in some regards. There are some people who are benefiting from him. And that's why I mentioned that you might not actually be competing with anyone for long, if at all. This is a completely competition-free business model as long as you are true to yourself. Don't try to be like anyone else, but still provide value in ways that are specific to you. And over time, you'll start noticing more and more ways to do that. In your actions, in your patterns, like Fader, the first few things you offer to the market might be rejected. Like the behavior tracker that I thought was so valuable, which I was relying on for 2 whole years. I launched it as a product. Sure, I didn't promote it much, but it flopped. No one even asked about it. So it just let me know, okay, this was a shit digital product. What's the next one? Let's try an ebook. Okay, that also flopped, but it was a good ebook. But okay, I guess I'll use it as a script. And now we have this video. So everything you launch and test, even if it fails, it's not a failure. It's an iteration. It's you clarifying what you are. It's you clarifying your message. You clarifying your niche. The word niche has been passed around for a long time. And in modern times, at least from the creators I'm listening to, they keep mentioning a 3.0 niche, which simply means you are the niche. You yourself. Everything about you that makes you unique is why you are a niche. It's why you are a unique person. Right? Even if you are a Siamese twin and you both share the same sides, like the same head, one is seeing that, one is seeing that. And over 20 years, that leads to like completely vastly different life experiences, perspectives, and whatever. Once you have refined your message, you've refined your niche, now you are a monopoly. This is what Naval Ravikant meant. You become your own monopoly. Now you're not just a web developer. Now you are a web developer who also teaches about spirituality and masculinity. Now you're not just a mechanic. You are also a mechanic who pushes for, I don't know, social justice or Java. You know what I'm saying? Bring your personal opinions into your work. Trust me, don't be too afraid. The fact that you have that opinion shows that there are other people who share it. And those people who share it are also people who will need your services as well, right? If you are afraid to share your extremely polarizing opinions, that's fine too. If you just, we're not focusing on building a brand in this essay, right? We're just focusing on getting you started with the creator economy. So yeah, that's it for this essay. If you got any value out of this, despite the several tangents I went on, thank you for being forgiving enough to stay this far. And if you want some more insightful takes like this, stick around by hitting that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.